If you're wondering, should I do a mirror wrap or a Subto, this video is for you. Hi, my name's Rod and I like to party. My name's Caleb and I do creative finance. Today we're going to talk about wraparound mortgages, specifically the mirror or the exact wrap, as opposed to a Subto. How do they interact? What's the difference between them? Why should I use one? Why should I not use one? What's the better protection for me or my seller, etc.? So if you want to learn about this, let's go. Now, I want to start out having a look at an article that I just published with my co-author, Miss Ilza. Fantastic working with her. We talk about wrap mortgages. There are several types, okay? Ultimately, a wraparound mortgage is something, think of it as a container, the wraparound, like a burrito. You wrap around the contents. So when you create a wraparound mortgage, there's an existing debt and you're wrapping a new one around it, setting new master terms. Can I tell what color the stuff inside the burrito is if it's got a nice, good tortilla around it? No, but it all fits inside. It's kind of like that with a wraparound mortgage. And when you do that, the existing loan that's inside, the wraparound has to be the same or greater value, the same or greater timeline. Here's the thing. You can't go around wrapping with a wrapper that's not big enough. Just think of a burrito that doesn't hold all the contents. It's not a good burrito. So let's take a look at the types of wraparound mortgages. There's the mirror wrap, the equity wrap, and the rate wrap. Usually there's a combination of equity and rate, but we'll get into that. The focus right now is the mirror wrap. If you're doing a Subto transaction, you're going to buy the house with the existing financing staying in place. Okay, so when that existing loan stays in place, $150,000 at 4% interest, if you take it Subto, you're just going to make the payment straight to the lender. Well, in that position, the seller, you've made a promise to pay their mortgage on their behalf, but they're still accountable on the loan. That doesn't change. You're not swapping out. This is not an assumption. You're not swapping out the name or the signature on the actual debt. That stays. You're swapping the name on the title of the property. The deed goes to you as the buyer, but the debt only goes to you as a responsibility to pay, not an accountability. And I've touched on that in other videos, accountability versus responsibility. The seller or the person who signed for the debt is accountable for it, and they've delegated some responsibility to you. But if you don't pay, their name is still the one on the line. It's their credit that gets affected. So in that case, you could damage somebody's credit. You can not be making payments. You can do all sorts of problematic things. And their only recourse is to take you to court and sue you. So in a Subto situation, when someone defaults, really the only recourse the seller has is to take you to court. That's not a problem. I mean, they can take you to court and make a really good case that you've damaged their credit, you've failed to pay like you promised to. They can request, and a court can even order a reversal of the sale, right? Order you to sell it back to them or deed it back to them or whatever. These are all valid resolutions to the problem of a defaulting buyer in a Subto situation. But it all comes down to, I got to take you to court and make a good case before I make you pay. So how do we improve the position of the seller, the security position of the seller? Well, we turn them into a lender for $0. What? Yes, $0. What we do is we do a mirror wrap. We mirror the existing loan and make another one exactly like it, containing the terms therein, or an exact wrap. So an exact wrap, think the burrito. If Chipotle hands me a burrito and I go get another tortilla and just wrap it without adding anything to the inside, that's an exact wrap. Okay. Now, if I line that new tortilla with beans and cheese and then wrap it around, I've got more like you remember the double decker from Taco Bell? I had those as a kid growing up. I think my memories are falsely fond because I had one recently and it's not all it's cracked up to be. But I really did like the soft taco, the shell, the tortilla with the stuff. I digress. It was good when I was a kid, though. I don't know about nowadays. Anyway, that would be more like an equity wrap. We're adding stuff to it, and then we're going to wrap it up with more stuff inside. So it's like numbers wise, it's a larger loan. In a mirror or exact wrap, though, you can turn the seller into a lender for the property for exactly the same terms as the underlying lender. What that does is so you got the original loan over here, 150,000 at 4% interest. Great. The seller then creates a new debt to wrap around that one for $150,000 at 4%. And it will have some indication that the terms of the existing loan must be honored as the conditions of the wraparound loan or mortgage being honored. If the original mortgage says, hey, we've got this other fee due for maintenance and whatever, the mirror wrap buyer has to pay it because the new mortgage says this mortgage's terms and conditions are incorporated herein. Basically, the seller makes no money every month. There's no markup on interest rate. There's no markup on the total amount being financed. It's an exact wrap. Okay, it's a pass-through entity. Technically, if you want to draw where the money should flow, the buyer pays the seller, who then pays the mortgage. In reality, the payment doesn't flow like that because we don't want to rely on somebody to be a middleman just to accept a payment and make no money. What if you pay them and they don't pay it on time? Well, now whose fault is it? Obviously, it's theirs that it didn't get paid on time. So, what we'd rather do is pay directly from the buyer to that original lender, or to hire a servicing agent and pay the servicing company to be a clearinghouse for payments and just send receipts down to the seller. A, B, C. I'm going to say A is the mortgage company. Send a notification to the seller that yes, it's been paid, and then forward the payment on to the original lender. You can do it that way as well. But that's a mirror or equity wrap. Why would a seller want to have a wrap position in which they make no money every month? Well, because they can foreclose for non-payment. So if the buyer pays the seller who pays the mortgage, okay, I'm going to use that function, that layout. If they make those payments, fantastic. The seller's credit's still in good condition because this relationship between the lender and the seller is still thumbs up. However, if the buyer doesn't make a payment, there's a default from B to C. Okay, the A to B, lender to seller, is in good standing until suddenly there's not a payment. Well, the first payment failure is between the buyer and the seller, C to B. Now there's a default here. However, B can still, out of their own personal funds, make a payment to A so that their credit is never affected, that they never go into default over here. So you've got this relationship is in good standing, this relationship is in default. Anything that this person pays to the lender is automatically owed by the buyer, right? So this person's over here starts going into arrears, into default with this person. This person can save their own credit if they want to make those payments and never go into default with the original loan. And they would also have the right to foreclose on this person who is in full default. So they stand as a middleman, which gives them the right to foreclose as a lender on the property. Hey, you're not honoring your terms and conditions. I'm saving my credit by making the payments. Let's just force this to auction, get it paid off. Sorry, too bad, so sad. And any money that I spend as the seller here who's enforcing my mortgage rights, any money that I spend to save my own credit by making payments to the original lender, and any money that I spend to take this to court to have it cause it to be foreclosed, you owe me. And I'm going to send you a statement. And at foreclosure, they're going to pay the legal fees, all the things that have racked up. So as long as it auctions for more than the balance owed plus fees, I'm going to collect my fees. The original mortgage gets paid off. And if there's anything extra, great, you get to keep it. But this thing's going to auction, baby, because you are not paying and I don't want this relationship anymore. Cancel my subscription. I do not need your issues. That is why you, as a seller, might want to be in a mirror wrap situation in which technically you make $0 per month because it makes you a lien holder on the property, gives you the right to foreclose for non-payment. Again, in a naked Subto transaction, like I call it, the seller can sue and then have a court action forcing the sale, forcing a deed back, forcing whatever, who knows. But that's going to be very situational and it's going to be up for debate as a subjective issue. Yes, we're going to have a documented promise to pay from the buyer to the seller. I promise to pay your mortgage. But if they default on that, that's a breach of contract that has to go to court. The benefit of the wraparound mortgage, the exact wrap, is that even though this person makes $0, there is established due process for, okay, we have a loan, you're in default, here's your notice, here's your next notice, notice of pre-foreclosure, notice of foreclosure, auction. It varies by state what that actual process is, but that's a well-defined process that's easy to follow. I can look it up in my state and start doing the things one after the other, send the notices on time, and then take them to court and force it to auction and just be done with it. Yes, it's going to cost money. Yes, it's a pain in the butt either way, but we have a very defined course of action as opposed to I'm going to sue you and we're going to argue about it and the judge is going to make some sort of decision, which is rarely what either party wants. Neither party wins 100% in court generally. There's some sort of compromise. A court may actually grant them some sort of relief, and the judgment may not be as severe as technically it should for this person's level of default. Whereas if you had the right to foreclose, you can bring the hammer down and just follow process. You get what you get because this is a well-defined process. You're not special. You've defaulted. Let's go through the process. Here we go. That's it. So if you want to read more on this topic, I want you to go to creativetc.io. I want you to go to our resources and our articles and look up mortgages or search online mortgages in creativetc.io. Okay, so types of wrap mortgages, you will get some value. Point other people to this. This is very helpful. I also talk about the equity wrap and the rate wrap. These are more things that you should understand. However, this video is focusing on the mirror wrap as opposed to a naked Subto transaction. I hope this has been supremely valuable to you. Please like and share and subscribe. Let us know if you have a situation. Creative TC does wraps. We do it. We love it. We advise on it. Our goal is to help you make informed decisions. We are the premier transaction consulting firm in creative real estate.